The As If Philosophy, the series, with your host, Anthony Chapa, the Spaniard. The views and commentary of the show are that of the host and doesn't reflect that of Black Sheep Bravo LLC. So are you ready for the show? Here is the Spaniard. Hey everybody, it's the Spaniard, keeping it tight from Black Sheep Bravo, and welcome to another edition of the As If Philosophy, the series. Today's series, we have something special for you today. We have a guest, an author, mind you, and we're going to be learning more about her. So please welcome Betsy Ross.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, there's a lot to talk about here, so I am going to try to jump right into it. Tell the world a little bit about Betsy Ross. Who is she?
Well, I served temporarily in the Army, and I've basically been trying to readapt and find my way again. And through that process and that entire journey, I wanted to start a book. It originally wasn't meant to be a series, but it now has kind of bloomed into that. And it started to get a little bit of attention as far as promoting mental health and veterans awareness. It's short and it's to the point, but it is raw and real a little bit and gets a little emotional. But as far as helping veterans, I think facing the facts is kind of the main issue that most of us deal with daily.
Now, what are the things that you mostly come in contact with when you say dealing with stuff? What are you more familiar with? What do you see most common
in the veterans community?
Right, yeah.
Truthfully, I've seen quite a bit. Just so many different perspectives. It's very hard to write it all into a short series, but there's a lot of negative, a lot of negative mindsets when it comes to veterans, regardless of branch, regardless of rank, regardless if they deployed or not. There seems to be some big miscommunication when it comes to civilians and how they perceive veterans and how veterans perceive other veterans. So I try to point that out a little bit as far as how veterans are communicating with each other and the rest of the world. Well, in doing that, I think a lot of it's just miscommunication, mistranslation between even each other and the rest of the society. There's really just too many things to try to mention. It's not an easy topic to really break it up in just a few points.
Yeah. Now, the book that you wrote, this was the name of the book is called Fight, correct?
Yes, sir.
What made you come up with the title?
Well, that was it. It kind of came easy for me because when I just wrote, I didn't think about a title. I didn't really have a go-to because, like I said, it wasn't meant to be a series. It was supposed to be just that one quick book. And coming up with the title, though, out of everything, I'm like, what are my characters doing? Well, they're fighting. They're fighting on. They're fighting beyond the uniform. They're fighting off the battlefield. They're fighting their own internal demons. And so that one word, fight, has so many different perceptions to everyone, to each individual. They have their own fight or their own idea of what a fight is, whether it's on the battlefield or, just taking a stroll on the sidewalk. So that word just really spoke to me, and I just stuck with it through the whole series, the Fight series.
Now, Leslie and John are two of the characters in the series. Tell us a little bit about the characters without giving away too much about the book. Give us maybe a little backstory of Leslie and John.
Okay. Well, Leslie and John get introduced in book one, and in their own personal situation, they actually met while in the service, and now they obviously had gone separate ways, and now they're back in civilian world again. But then they realize they come in contact again, and there was really a breakup point that kind of, I guess you can say, was a negative connection they had while in the military. However, when they come out, they realize even though they had their differences while in the service, they came across some obstacles when trying to readapt in the civilian world, and they realized, you know what, even with our differences, we actually kind of need each other. We're the only ones who really understand what being in the uniform means. And something simple as, going to the grocery store can be very overwhelming for some people, but when you tell someone that, they're like, but why? Well, it's always the small things.
Yep, right on, right on. Now, with Leslie and John, was there any? A lot of people say there's what is there? There's truth in the arts, or there's that saying that there's something behind every story. In this case, with Leslie and John, is that something you came up with that with your own experiences?
Partially, because some things I try to interview different people who would be willing to tell me a little bit of what they did, because I haven't been in all the jobs and MOSs they had, so I kind of need feedback. Well,
Right.
some people can give me their own personal stories, and I'll break them up and try to incorporate a story, including my own personal, I guess, emotional roller coaster ride of depression and all those other negative mindsets. And like I said, I try to make it very emotional, very real, and try to reach out to as many people as possible, which is one reason why I try to write it in a very generalized way so that as many people as possible can relate to it. Even though they may not be in that exact predicament, they can still try to relate and find hope, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's the difficulty that a lot of people are coming across with veterans. Especially nowadays. It's getting. I don't know. The news tends to, it comes and goes, right? When it's something good, they rarely cover that story, but it always hits the news about a veteran suicide, and they always add the statistic. What are your thoughts on what do you think we could do as veterans? What do you think we could do to change that? Have you found anything that works?
I guess in my very brief self journey, I try to also when also marketing series, I also try to promote Veterans Uniting, because who knows a vet better than a vet? Well, if veterans can actually, I understand we joke amongst each other, but if we can actually see past, well, that person didn't deploy, so they're not a real soldier, or they weren't there, they wouldn't understand, even though they were in, they didn't understand. Well, if we can just settle out those differences, really the mindset of being in the military is very overwhelming, a lot of stresses. Then when you deploy, it's magnified. Well, if veterans can just come together, regardless of their story and whatnot, we can actually feel like we're not so different. Because one thing I did notice when I got out of the military was a lot of veterans, they just push each other away. They're like, oh, we got this, or I'm not in the military anymore, it doesn't matter, I'm on my own. Even though they have all these resources, they don't always use them. Well, then we branch off, and then we get into a situation or an obstacle, and it's like, why can't these people help me? Why don't they understand? Because a veteran knows, they've been down that road. They know how difficult it can be. As something as simple as going to the store, getting in your car and just driving, it's the daily little things in our life that get impacted from memories or PTSD or anything that we experienced in the military. It stays with us, even in the small daily things we do in our lives.
There you go. Now, if somebody was interested in the book, Fight, and the series, what's the best way to get a copy of that?
Probably Amazon. Right now, book one is available also on audio, so Audible or iTunes. Fight one is also available online on Barnes & Noble's website. Fight 2 is currently only available on Amazon, Kindle and paperback.
Very cool. Now, is this something you've always wanted to do, to write, or is this something that you stumbled upon?
I've always wanted to be a writer. I didn't have a clue what I'd write about, because I've always been a poet, but I couldn't write a story. And then it was like one day I woke up and I'm like, I've been bullied, I've been all this and that because I didn't deploy and I didn't do this. And And then I lost more battle buddies to suicide, and it sort of just hits you in a very surreal way, and it's hard to talk about. Well, I kept seeing on Facebook, what the issues with the VA and whatnot. I started just really facing the facts. I'm like, maybe people aren't just getting it. It's not about the fancy healthcare. It's not about, the absolute, they want to say all this really, but it's like they don't just need a bunch of money. They don't need just things. They need connection. They need people to listen. They need people to not automatically assume things. Oh, you were in the military, you deployed? Oh, did you kill someone? Oh, did you do that? They just want to be, some of them just want to be treated like they're human again, that they're sane, they're good people, regardless of what they did, what they experienced. They just want that, down to earth connection with people again, because coming to the civilian world, it's very overwhelming, like you said, with the news and these cases with the VA and whatnot. And if we really just get to the nitty-gritty of what's really the main problem, I think people would actually be more open-minded, including their families and friends. They can actually understand their loved ones.
Yeah, right on. I love it. I love it. All right, great answers. Great answers. All right, now before we go into our final segment here, we do stuff here at Black Sheep Bravo a little differently, and we're going to do Spaniard's lightning round questions here. Now, these are just 5 questions of how we get to know our guest on the show. So, again, if you're just joining us, this is Betsy Ross, author, and she is going to be answering 5 questions. Now, Betsy, these are just off the cuff. All right, this is try not to put too much time into thinking of it. Just whatever comes to your mind, that's what we're going to go with. All right, you ready for this?
Maybe.
All right, here we go. It's gonna be easy one. All right. So, like for example, the first one here. What takes up too much of your time?
Thinking.
Thinking. Okay. All right. Question number 2. What are some small things that make your day better?
My children.
Beautiful. Right on. All right. Question number 3. What's the best way to start the day?
A cup of coffee.
Okay, right on. And let's see. Question number 4: Who has impressed you most with what they've accomplished?
I'd probably say my husband.
Right on. Beautiful. All right. And last question. Question number 5: Who is your go-to band or artist when you can't decide on something to listen to?
Five Finger Death Punch.
Oh, man. All right. Okay. Man, right on. That is a good go-to. All right. So there you have it. All right. We're going to wrap it up now. And before we wrap it up and say goodbye to Betsy Ross, we do what we like to call final thoughts. Now, what this is, Betsy, is just your final thoughts to give as our sign-off, a message to the world of what you want to say. So it could be anything you want. It could be serious. It could be funny, whatever you'd like. So take it away, Betsy Ross. Final thoughts. There you go.
I would say take care of each other because we're all we have.
Right on. Man, that is profound. Very short, sweet, to the point. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we had a special guest tonight, Betsy Ross, author, Army vet, and I guess you would say a veteran advocate as well, yes?
Yes, sir.
Right on. All right. If you want to catch her book, you can go to Amazon. The name of the book is called Fight. She's got 3 books out in the series. Go ahead and check her out. And we'll have more information on our Black Sheep Bravo page, as well as our Black Sheep Bravo website. We'll have information and a link to her Amazon link to catch her book, to learn more about Leslie and John and their adventures readjusting to civilian life. So this is the Spaniard with another series of the As If philosophy. Thanks again for listening, joining us next time. And don't forget, if you have not subscribed yet to our YouTube channel, go ahead and do that. And if you have not gone to our Facebook page, don't forget to share and spread the good news. On behalf of the team of Black Sheep Bravo, this is the Spaniard keeping it tight. Have a great and wonderful evening. Spaniard out.